The butterflies are blooming. Maybe I should say booming. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and today I am in our butterfly house, and the butterflies are just everywhere. So in our butterfly house, we are raising the monarch butterflies. The host plant would be Asclepias, otherwise known as milkweed. So we have a lot of milkweed here at Garden Crossings to be able to sustain all of these butterflies. It is the plant where they lay their eggs on. The eggs turn to caterpillars, and then the caterpillars eat the leaves of the milkweed. Here, for example, is a milkweed, and we have these setting in pots throughout the greenhouse here, because as the caterpillars are eating, they'll totally defoliate these plants. So we cycle them in and out as the leaves go away. So we're going to look here at these leaves to see if we see an egg, which right here up front and center is an egg. That is what you are looking for if you are trying to raise caterpillars or monarch butterflies, and this would be the egg that you're looking for on your milkweed. So milkweed is the only host plant for the monarchs, so if you're looking to attract monarchs into your garden, it's very important that of course you have the plants they need for their circle of life. So as I mentioned, the butterflies are booming and they are just hanging out everywhere. It is the morning right now, and typically once the sun comes out and things start heating up, that's when the butterflies become more active. So right now they're kind of just hanging out on the sidewalls of the greenhouse, chilling out, and then once the sun comes out today, I think we're going to see a lot more fluttering and a lot more motion going on. Our goal for today though is to release a bunch of these butterflies. I don't need this many in the butterfly house. Usually if we have around 50 to 100, that's a pretty nice sustainable number. But with the amount we have right here now, this is a lot of butterflies. So we want them to be able to get out in nature and do their natural life cycle outside of this habitat for the most part. So far we have released upwards around 300 to 300 butterflies. I think once I come in here today, we'll probably have another 200-300 or so that we'll be able to release. And that's something we're going to continue to do throughout this week as more and more of these monarchs emerge from the chrysalises that are hiding within all of the various plants here. Take a look here at this butterfly bush, and you'll see that there is just butterflies hanging out all over it. This is a great source of food for these butterflies. They're getting the nectar off of the flowers. So when we plant the flowers in the butterfly house, we really try to keep in mind what are the plants that are going to be a great nectar source for the butterflies. You can see them all hanging up there along that shade cloth, starting to warm their wings a little bit. So we mentioned having plants that are good for butterflies, and if you're creating a butterfly garden, you may wonder, what plants should I plant in my garden to attract the various butterflies? As I mentioned, number one, milkweed is the host plant for the monarchs. So to attract monarch butterflies to the garden, it's important that you have their host plant, milkweed. Other plants that they like, you can see they're hanging out here on the Shasta daisies. We have salvia, and again, they're hanging out all over the salvia. A lot of times you'll find butterflies in hummingbirds like tubular plants, especially the hummingbirds, but that's not always necessarily true. Gomphrena, these beautiful pink truffles, are a very great plant to add to your garden if you're looking to have the pollinators. They're just kind of a wispy, airy feel. We've got Allium millennium blooming right now, and you can see the butterflies are just having a ball. How do you know the sex of a butterfly? That's always a good, interesting question. So right now, the butterfly that we are currently looking at is a male, and if you look on its back two wings, I don't want it to fly away, but you'll notice there's two circles there on the very back of those back two wings. That indicates that this butterfly here is a male. Here's another one that maybe we can get a little bit of another shot of. You'll notice there's those two circles just there to the back of its body. That indicates a male. Now let's see if this one here might be a female. Nope, that's another male. We've got a lot of males going on. This one's a male. I can see, yep, male, male. This is good, these are males, because these guys aren't going to be laying eggs at all. So right now we're seeing a lot of males, and it's a little black circle there that indicates that these are males. We'll try to see if we can find some females as we continue to walk through. Hyssop or agastache is another plant. You can see this guy here is enjoying it. We plant coneflowers. Here's a lantana, male enjoying the lantana. We will find a female because I think it's important to show you what they all look like. Let's see here. Hanging out here on this Pugster blue butterfly bush. Looks like we've got 2 males. Milkweeds are doing, or the coneflowers are hanging out on the coneflowers. Got the Kufia vermillionaire here. That plant's doing really nice. Along with the mahogany monster heuchera or corbels. A lot of times you may not necessarily think of this as a pollinator plant, but this mahogany monster has been in bloom now for 3 months here in the greenhouse. So it's just continuing to put on flowers with these beautiful flower spikes. Zinnias. A lot of times zinnias are known to be planted in a butterfly garden as well. We've got the orange zinnias here. I just scared the butterflies off of them. But zinnias are another great choice if you're looking to create a butterfly oasis in your garden. Pentas. Pentas are another plant, and as I'm walking, I'm just kind of sending them off and outward. But pentas too are another great plant if you're looking to have the butterflies. Here we have a female. She's hanging out here on the shade cloth, and as you'll notice at the very bottom of her body, you're not seeing the 2 dots that we were seeing on the males. So that indicates that that one there is a female. It's just kind of fun to walk through and just watch the butterflies as they flutter all around. You will notice too that there's various sizes of the butterflies. Some of them are bigger than others, and that's usually when you start seeing the bigger butterflies, those are the ones that are really, they're bigger, so they have more energy to fly south. Now this time of year they're not flying south quite yet, but especially in the later on in the season, in the fall, we'll notice that there's a lot of various sizes, smaller ones and bigger ones. And those bigger ones, they're the ones that are going to head out of here and head down to Mexico or California or wherever it is that they choose to go for home. One interesting thing last night when we were out here in the butterfly house, this here is a lilac shrub, and it's not necessarily a pollinator plant. It's not a host plant for the monarchs, but this plant was loaded in the monarch butterflies. And I think it was giving them kind of a shade protection last night from the sun and from the heat. And we were just walking past and there was hundreds of butterflies hanging out here in this lilac shrub. We'll try to even catch one laying an egg here. So this here is a female, and she's actually getting ready to plant an egg. You can see her body there is kind of curved under, and yep, she left us a little surprise. Right there is the egg that is freshly laid. We'll see if we can catch her again. We'll just stand here a minute and watch. So she's tucking her body right now underneath that leaf, and she just deposited another egg. There it is. That's what's so fun to see, is these butterflies are out here on the milkweed, and you can kind of see what they're doing. You can watch their body curve underneath, and then they leave, and you look and you see, and they've deposited an egg. Those eggs are very important because those eggs are going to be what turn into those caterpillars to kind of get the circle of butterfly life going. More milkweed here. And this is actually, there's a caterpillar on this milkweed, so we can show you what all these beautiful monarchs look like before they turn into a butterfly. This caterpillar will go off and create a green chrysalis at some point. He's not quite big enough yet to do so. They get a little bit bigger than this before they head off. And we've noticed that in the butterfly bush, sometimes they're easy to spot, other times they blend in, but a lot of times they'll go off into these shrubs and form into their chrysalis because the green foliage really creates a nice camouflage so that people and or animals don't necessarily find those chrysalises as easy. We have had problems in here before where frogs will get in and they'll eat the caterpillars, and that was one of our fears that we had originally when we started off the butterfly house this season, is we were finding frogs. So we were really afraid that we weren't going to have the butterflies we were hoping for this year. Obviously, you can see it wasn't a problem because we are plentiful with butterflies at this point. Here's a Pugster Blue butterfly bush. Now for those of you who have purchased Pugster Blue and you're like, Heidi, that plant is huge. This is not what I was expecting. You have to remember these plants are all planted in a greenhouse. They're in prime growing condition. They're getting watered every day. They're getting fertilized every time they get watered. And that's just because they're running off of the greenhouse watering system. They're protected from the environment. So typically your Pugster butterfly bushes, they will only be 2 to 3 foot tall in your landscape. So don't let the sheer size of this particular one scare you at all, because this is just living its best life here in the garden, in the greenhouse. Phlox, we've got tall phlox in here, another pollinator plant. Like we mentioned before, the cone flowers, sedum. So when we plant this, we want to make sure we've got something flowering at all points in the season, from early season through the fall. So we do put a lot of our fall blooming perennials in here. And of course, obviously we've got lots of annuals, because your annuals are constantly in bloom, constantly providing nectar for these butterflies. So it's starting to warm up a little bit. I'm starting to glisten, and I'm noticing that the butterflies are also starting to wake up a little bit, coming off of their upward perch there of the greenhouse. So it's going to be a little trickier when I go trying to catch them when they're flying. So it's easier when they are hanging out at the top of the greenhouse, because I can just scoop them in a net real easy. But it's going to be a butterfly hunt today as I'm out with the net, just playing my inner, 5-year-old child out catching the butterflies. But we'll be sure to show you that as well. And we'll also be showing you the release, because it's just so beautiful when you just let hundreds of butterflies go out into nature. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. If you're new to our station, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings. Now we'll head outside and release them. It looks like there's about 7 or 8 in here. So we'll go out and release.